Hello everyone, and welcome to Straight Chilling. Each week we watch and review a horror film for your entertainment. You can send all questions and comments to straightchillingpodcast@gmail.com. And don't forget to keep chilling.
Yeah, we straight chillin', serial killing. 5 cold feelings on the mind, got you reeling. 5-star ratings from the floor to the ceiling. If you get your 1 star, no time for feelings. Got a demon DJ, all the 1s and 2s. By the name Elzebub, so don't get confused. So grab a seat by the fire, roast them all in 2. And prepare to hear the legend of the Straight Chillin' crew.
What up, nerds? Welcome to another democratic episode of Straight Chilling, the weekly horror movie review show where you chill and we kill, slice, dice, and chop up yet another horror movie. My name's Bob. I'll be your host for the evening. This is episode number 274, recorded on July 5th, 2020. Tonight, we're going to be talking about a movie called The Hunt. Before we get into it, let me introduce everyone else on the show. First up, calling in from Northern California, the northern quadrant of California, we got our boy Randy Gandy G. Laney. What's up, man?
Hello, gentlemen.
What's up, everybody? I'm ready to fight. Let's fight.
Test your might. Last but not least, calling in from the southern quadrant of Korea, we got our boy Soju. What's up, man?
Hello, it's your boy Soju Stains 2020. Are you tired of Bob running the Straight Chilling podcast with an iron fist? I know I am. So I'm asking for your support by posting hashtag #HardWithSoju on all Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube comments and posts so we can affect some real positive change here at the Straight Chilling podcast. Thank you for your support.
Oh, there's some real Fontaine shit flowing through this podcast.
I'm Soju Stains, and I approve this message.
I really wish I could have heard all that, but it kind of sounded like...
With an iron fist. That's some bullshit.
Bob's been shooting from the hip lately. He's had some misses.
It's really more of a steel case than an iron fist.
Steel case.
A blue? Is it blue?
Steel case blue is ready to fight.
4Ks. Whatever, man. So yeah, we're talking about this movie. It's going to be lots of fun, but before we get into it, let's tackle a little bit of housekeeping. Just another reminder, we got our August poll pick up on our Patreon website currently. If you support us at the $5 level or above, you get the chance to vote on a movie we're going to be talking about this August. The theme for August is going to be VHS. So we got 3 movies that are centered around some sort of VHS. We got Ring U, we got VHS 2, and Terror Vision.
Bob?
Juice.
How are those numbers looking for the August poll pick?
Well, they're looking pretty good, man. Ring U is definitely taking the cake currently. VHS, or no, I'm sorry, I got that wrong. VHS 2 is taking the cake. Ring U and Terror Vision are tied currently.
Okay.
So,
there's no far behind. Interesting.
No, there's not.
That's not how it usually goes.
That's not how it usually goes. I'm making a mad push for Terror Vision because I feel like not enough people have seen that movie.
Bob's out here camping.
Iron fist.
Typically,
I
know, shooting from the hip. Bob's not following his own rules over here.
Rob don't separate church and state. That's what we learned here. There's no...
Bob loves to worry about our reputation and set down the rules until he has to abide by them, and then it all goes out the door.
Yeah, Bob loves
time for
iron fisting. Just loves it.
We're talking about kinks.
No
today,
kink shaming. No kink shaming.
That's right. We'll get to that a little bit later.
Bob's kink this past few weeks has been iron fisting.
Iron fisting. I'm always shooting from the hip, if you know what I'm saying.
Shooting into the hip, as I understand.
Zing, Randy.
Ho! We also released a new mini cast on our $10 level over on the Patreon website. Juice was talking about a show called Kingdom. What's up with that? What's going on with that, Juice?
That was season 1 that came out last year. It's a South Korean kind of medieval times zombie show. It's really solid. It's, you know what? It's very much in the same vein of the Train to Busan zombies, which is a pretty popular zombie film. And they're fast and they're wild and like pretty ravage. So if you're into that kind of thing, but it's like medieval times, so they're fighting with swords and shit, and it's really good. It's really good.
Right on. Yeah, we've got just about 20 mini episodes up on the Patreon website, exclusive to Patreon. So if you want a little extra straight chilling content, hop on over to Patreon and sign up, join up.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, we got one brand new Patreon supporter this week. We got to give mad shouts outs too. Big thanks to Cody for signing up and showing some love and support. We very much appreciate it, my dude. And
yes, not only can you get a mini cast on Patreon, but you can also get a little straight chillin' salute here. So let's show them how it's done, boys.
Straight chillin' salute. This one's for Cody.
Slap my ass! I already did it. You talked through it.
Sorry. We slapped his ass. Somebody's ass got slapped.
3, 2, 1.
Slap me in the ass!
Yeah.
It's an ass and a half slapped. So a little extra bonus.
Yeah, whoa.
A bone ass. That's what Cody
little
got.
extra boner for you.
Bob shooting from the hip got you a little bonus there, guys.
Little bone ass there. Yeah, so that's all we got going on with the Patreon juice. You got any YouTube or Twitch news?
Well, we are coming up on our first Tuesday of the month. You know what that means. It's a new Top 5 Tuesday.
Top 5 Tuesday.
Top 5 Tuesday. And it is the Halloween season. So get ready for that, boys. Right. Just that's just a little side. That has nothing to do with Top 5 Tuesday, but July 5th.
Feel that crisp air.
July 5th is official Halloween season here at the Straight Chillin' Podcast. That's how we recognize it. So excited about that. But yeah, keep an eye out for Top 5 Tuesday. That's going to be Top 5 summer horror flicks since movie.
The air is filled with the scent of nutmeg. There's a chill.
There's a store called At Home, and they legit already have their Halloween stuff out.
Yeah.
No joke.
Yeah. That doesn't.
Is that your like weird way of saying you put up your Halloween decorations already?
At home, baby. There's a store.
There's this weird store called My House, and at my house, all the decorations are already.
I feel like our generation and just throughout our lifetimes has just been this huge calendar of watching stores post stuff up earlier and earlier. Earlier. I feel like as children, like it was a normal time, like, oh yeah, there's a true Halloween season. We put out, Halloween decorations, and now it's just like, it's July. Dude, throw it up.
If you leave a vacation house abandoned for a day, you'll find a spirit store the next day. So like,
heard that.
Yeah. That's the season. I'm genuinely shocked. If their business model didn't depend on closing for a season, then they would inhabit every empty storefront in America.
The last bit of housekeeping I got to mention here real quick is over on Let's Get Physical Media, which is a sister podcast to Straight Chilling. Mikey and myself talk about physical media, 4K, Blu-ray, all that fun stuff. We did a bonus episode where we recorded a commentary for Return of the Living Dead. We made our own bonus feature in a way. You can get that anywhere you get your podcast. Just search for Let's Get Physical Media. That's all we got. So now it's time to get in the main event. Talking about the hunt. Let's go hunting and kick it off with the back of the box.
What's on the back of the box?
You have this box, right?
I really do, but I don't have it in front of me. But
this segment is a total farce.
Sweet deal. Iron fisting, shooting from the hip and bob.
Iron fisting.
I'm glad to know that it is worth the investment for the Hunt 2020, but Eraserhead is just not worth the purchase.
Dude, those Criterion movies are pretty expensive. You got to buy those when they're on half off sale.
Oh no, yeah, you really are. Got to save that money, Bob. I know you're interested in holding on to your pennies.
Oh, get out of here!
12 DVDs a week, can't spare one for old David Lynch.
I have several David Lynch movies. This is neither here nor there. All right, we're talking about The Hunt. Was released in March this year, March of 2020. This was directed by Craig Zobel. It was written by Nick Cuse and Damon Lindelof, starring Betty Gilpin, Hilary Swank, and a bunch of other people, actually. So the plot synopsis is as follows. 12 strangers wake up in a clearing. They don't know where they are or how they got there. They don't know they've been chosen for a very specific purpose. The Hunt.
Skip to the end.
That is the end. Gentlemen,
Totally stepped on it.
have you seen this before? Would you recommend people check it out? Randy, kick us off.
I have not seen this movie before, and I think that I would not recommend this movie.
Nice and tight.
We'll get into the reasons for that shortly.
Sweet deal. Juice, what about you?
I had not seen this movie before, and generally I would not recommend this movie, mostly because I just don't think it's very good. And it's talking about Iron Fist and Bob over here to set up the situation where you're given the choice between Becky or The Hunt. Guys, which movie do you want to watch? Oh, Becky. Yeah, let's watch Becky. Bob over here could not accept that. We just had to watch The Hunt. I don't know why that was forced upon us. I should go ahead and set that up here. I would not be the one forcing this on other people, so I will not recommend it.
All right. Yeah, I'd seen this once before, and I enjoyed it. And yeah, Iron Fist and Bob, whatever. I figured we would have a decent conversation about this. The other movies that we were kind of kicking around, I didn't really feel that way about. So I don't know. But watch Becky. By all means, watch Becky, see what you feel about it. Maybe you like it more than I did. But yeah, I would recommend this movie. It's not like gonna blow your mind. It's not the greatest movie of this year, but I think it's definitely worth a watch. For me, it
was pretty good. It was all right. It wasn't great, but it was fine.
Yeah, based on the entertainment value anyway, it's a fun watch. So yeah, I would recommend it. Let's go ahead and drop that spoiler warning and get into the rest of the movie.
Spoiler warning.
So this movie, starting off of like why the hell we were forced to watch it and now talk about it. This movie is not horror.
Well,
if we're gonna call things dark, what?
Hang on.
One thing we forgot to do, because we need to say this up front.
Yeah.
We are not a political podcast. We don't usually foray into that realm unless it's called for by the specific film. And I can't think of another film that we've reviewed that is quite so explicitly necessary to go into that realm. So if you're not interested in hearing political shit, you're welcome to take off. No harm, no foul. But this is we're gonna get into the weeds with some of this shit because this movie absolutely demands it. So fair warning.
Okay.
Continue.
This movie's not horror.
Okay.
If we're gonna say things are not horror and call them like, no, they're dark comedies because it's like dark, like that gets thrown around. All right. Like if anything, maybe it's a dark action. But
I've heard it described as a thriller more often than anything.
Yeah,
I wouldn't even necessarily just because of like the kind of quirky nature that they try to attach to it. It's I can't believe so many horror podcasts, including ourselves, feel the need to talk about this movie in the horror realm.
It's because it's Blumhouse. Yeah. I think that has some more to do with it than anything. People see Blumhouse, that immediately attracts a horror crowd, I think.
Yeah.
But I mean, to your point, it's like I don't care about the genre definition of pretty much any movie. Like I just don't. It's not an thing I'm interested in, really.
It's not something that we take a really hard stance on as far as like what is and is not considered horror. We're pretty flexible with that because I don't really get the point of being the other way. Like fuck it, we only talk about like the most hard hitting horror on this show.
We only talk about Faces of Death on this podcast, and that's it.
It's nice to have some variation over the movies that we talk about, for sure. But I don't know. In regards to this movie specifically, there is a lot of killing. There's a lot of like pretty graphic gore. Yeah, there's some blood spatter, but it's not. Is it like a straight up horror? I mean, there's no like hauntings or ghosties or anything. It's just people with guns.
There's an eyeball.
Yeah, there's an eyeball. Yeah, there's definitely some explicit gore going on in this movie, and it's a Blumhouse production, so it's tangentially related to the horror world, which is why we're talking about it.
Yeah. Okay, so go on, Jess. Now that we've totally dismantled thing you had to say.
It's not. Yeah, it's just not horror. I don't know. Here we are.
Yeah, to the extent that matters, I would agree with you, but it just doesn't really strike me as anything super important. So, going through this movie, it's kind of impossible again to talk about this movie without talking about the cultural situation that surrounds it, which was that it was supposed to be released right around the time of the Dayton shootings, and Universal decided to push that back as an effort to, be tactful about that whole situation, because this movie is so explicitly political and provocative and violent that they felt like they had to, and that led to somebody who wields a very specific level of power in our country tweeting about it, and then the world collapsed around this movie, and in my opinion, a total misunderstanding.
He tweeted about it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I love just being out of the loop.
It was definitely a news story for like a week or two, and that is
why this movie was released with as much most talked about movie of all time shit.
Oh god, this movie does not warrant that many people talking about it.
It
Let me go ahead and preface that.
Yeah.
Also, after that happened, so it was supposed to come out, I think, September of 2019, and then it finally came out in March of 2020, and immediately after that, the COVID thing,
the theater shut down.
The theater shut down. So this thing's release situation has just been fucked up from go.
This movie does not deserve to be rewarded with a movie.
I also want to mention. So it got a very short theatrical run, and because of that, it went straight to VOD. But the way they handled the VOD for this, and there was one or two other movies that came out, like The Invisible Man, and I think one other thing. It was a $20 rental because it was a new release, but it was on VOD, which is something hopefully we don't see more of, but it's possible that will be the case if theaters shut down and are unable to reopen in the long term. But I don't know, just some real world stuff.
There's a lot going on around this, but basically tensions were high from the beginning on this thing because it's expressly political, even from the advertising they had at the beginning. When I first saw this trailer, I saw it after sort of a backlash around that thing, and when I saw it, the trailer rather, I was like, oh, okay, so this to me screams the total opposite of what is being screamed by these people, because at the time, our dear leader, President Trump, said something along the lines of, this is, just villainizing Republicans and conservatives and that sort of thing. And I was like, it kind of seems like the opposite to me based on the trailer. I don't know what these people, I haven't seen it yet, so judgment reserved, but I don't know what these people are talking about. And now that I've seen it, I feel 1000% vindicated in that assumption. So
if anything, the quote conservative characters in this come out on top. They come out looking pretty.
Oh yeah, they're the heroes. They're the ones you were rooting for, and literally from the moment you meet any of them, they're already victims of murderous dickheads who are also liberals and who lose in the end. So it's kind of geared very specifically towards, in my mind, or at least it's weighted and incredibly weighted in the favor of a conservative viewpoint. That's kind of my major crux, because this movie was promoted and then accelerated as a political event, some sort of political stance. But I don't know this movie has a fucking stance beyond aren't liberals annoying like that, right? And in the situation that we're in right now, where some of the jokes that they make at the liberal elite's expense is you can't say guys now, you have to say folks or whatever, which is a thing that people are doing. We're redefining language right now. And so I felt really weird about even reviewing this movie, I want to point out, in this current political situation where everything is extra heightened. But seeing as we had sunk cost fallacy going for us and too much time already invested in it.
I know. I would have been happy to change had it been 2 days ago. If you had watched this before me, if you would have watched it before me, then I would have been.
But the point being that the things that they really take liberals to task in this movie, in my opinion, and to the extent that they do the same with the conservatives, it is meager at best, and especially considering how the villain versus the enemy villains of this movie are not the conservatives. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of people saying it's both sides are taken to task. I just don't see it. I see a few people called rednecks, a few conspiracy theories that are vindicated through the plot of this movie. And I see a bunch of writers that decided to stick their dick in a hornet's nest by even using this as a way of promoting their movie.
Yeah, the conservatives in this movie are essentially red shirts, with the exception of Betty Gilpin, the main character. Everybody else, pretty much. I mean, the vast majority.
Nobody
of them
else has
get
a
killed
full character
immediately.
And it's debatable if she has a full character.
Yeah, I find her character pretty interesting. Honestly, I think she's a fantastic actress. I think
do
she
too.
does a really good job in this movie.
I want to point that out too, and like not just her. I like a lot of the actors in this movie. Every person that I recognized. Ethan Suplee's in this. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Emma Roberts is in this.
Ethan Suplee's in this? Did I?
Yeah,
totally
he's
miss him?
Gary.
Holy
He's
shit!
Gary.
I didn't realize that.
He's lost a lot of weight.
I don't know
Maybe
who
you didn't
that
recognize
is.
him.
He's a big, or he was a big dude.
That's a sailboat.
Wow.
Glenn
I
Howerton's
didn't
in it.
recognize him as wow. Yeah, okay.
Macon Blair is in it.
Yeah, Macon Blair. I love his.
I love
his
all these
little role.
people.
Yeah.
And so it makes it extra difficult for me to sit there and be like, okay, you guys are really just taking liberals to task right now.
Yeah.
This is
See,
literally exactly what I expected.
I'm on the opposite end of this, to where like what was like being said didn't like really bother me, other than the fact that I thought it was pretty lazy and just not well written, like in a general sense, like not necessarily the content. But I found this movie to be kind of a bad version of like Ready or Not mixed with kind of like You're Next.
Yeah, I can see that.
Like it, like where they try to do that like quirky, again, it's not the horror, also kind of like in the realm of maybe like the Belko Experiment, where it's like trying to focus on the brutality, action or whatever. But it really, not a lot of the jokes land. There were actually a couple jokes where I got like a slight chuckle out of, but for the most part, like the way they just kind of redshirt everybody, you don't get to follow any kind of character. This is a beef I had. It didn't bother the other guys apparently, but like within the first like 40 minutes, like you don't, at first you think maybe, oh, you're going to follow like Dennis or like these people, like they're kind of setting up the situation, but they pull the rug out from under. You're like, nope, this guy's going to die randomly. Nope, this chick gets their head blown off.
They drew Barrymore at least three people before they get to Betty Gilpin as a central.
Yeah, and I wasn't able to get cemented in this movie early enough. Like they waited so late that it just was hard for me to attach any kind of like real attention or like root for anybody or like follow along like real well. It just, I don't know, it like hit like, or it missed the mark storytelling for me. I thought there was a lot of holes in the plot and the action. It's gotten to the point now where like, if you're just going to make it like gratuitous action, like I'm just too numb to it. I get like, I'm just like, oh great. Okay. Yeah. Like there was a couple scenes where I was like, oh, okay, that's like an interesting kill maybe. But if that's all you're going off of after shit like the Belko Experience and like Ready or Not, which is like more like written in a better like story wise, then like if you're not going to have that, then I don't like care too much for it.
I wanted to mention, since we were briefly talking about the red shirts, I was looking through the cast because Ethan Suplee blew my mind. Sturgill Simpson also has a cameo in this. The country singer-songwriter Sturgill Simpson.
Is he?
Yeah, he's the guy from Orlando in this movie with the tattoos.
Oh, shit. I wouldn't recognize that.
That character's name is Vanilla Nice, which I love.
All the character names are like dumb things like that. Like Emma Roberts is Yoga Pants.
Yeah, she dies immediately, which I didn't expect.
She gets the hardest level of Barrymore. I don't know. I think that to me, I liked seeing like shifting viewpoints from at the beginning. I don't have a big problem with that. And like speaking strictly as like craft of this movie or whatever, it doesn't do anything that I would write home about. But it also like it's capable enough, and to the action point of view, like I think the action is capably done. And I do have a complaint though to Justin's point, which is that there was at least one point where I was like, okay, so is our main character Betty Gilpin's character is she like a secret super soldier or something? Because she was doing shit that she should not have been physically able to do. And I recognize that it's a movie, but there were like some, like her face screwed up in contortion in such a way that made me think that. And like, that's the hallmark of a action movie, not a horror movie where you're supposed to feel that person is vulnerable. So I just want to point that out.
She is a retired service member.
Yeah, we find that out later. And that's fine. But like, there was a couple of times where I was like, "What is this? Like, is she like a sleeper cell for like somebody else that does this? What is happening?"
Yeah.
Are we? So Bob didn't do his type up synopsis. Do we need to kind of run down?
I didn't write one up, but it's pretty easy to get through this plot. So I can run through it, and you guys can add to it if you think I missed something. But
let's do it.
Basically, the movie starts off with like this text thread of what we come to find out are a group of like wealthy liberal folks, and they're talking about this thing called Manorgate, where this wealthy individual owns a manor, and they hunt conservatives for fun. And they're texting about it, and one of the people says like, "Oh, I thought we were never going to text about this. I'm going to delete this thread immediately." Then we cut to an airplane, and that's where we see, Dennis from Sunny in Philadelphia and all the other people riding on the plane. And then there's this guy who kind of bursts through, and they say, "Oh no, you woke up too early," and then they just kill him very brutally. He gets his eye stabbed with a high heel by Hilary Swank, who we later find out is Hilary Swank. And then
she's faceless for a lot of it.
She is.
What a weird reveal that was. They were like, I don't know why they felt the need to conceal her.
And we
dramatic pause. I don't know.
I guess so, even though her name is on the poster. But we cut to a field, and all these people that were riding on the airplane that were asleep are, they wake up and they've got their gags in their mouths, and there's this huge box in the middle of the field. They open the box, and it's got a whole bunch of weapons in it and a pig for some reason. They kind of strap up, and then as soon as they get the guns, they just start getting picked off one by one. They run over these landmines. They get blown up with hand grenades. It's really gruesome. A few of them
bows and arrows too.
Bows and arrows. A few of them escape. They hop over a barbed wire fence. They run to a gas station. They get killed by the people in the gas station. We eventually land on Betty Gilpin's character. You kind of find out that she's going to carry us throughout the rest of this movie. She's the most capable person by far. And she's just basically killing these conservative people that are hunting or these liberal people that are hunting her with ease, because we come to find out that she's like retired service member. She eventually finds the quote manor from Manorgate and has this big conversation with Hilary Swank. Hilary Swank talking about how this conservative conspiracy theory about Manorgate was going around, and it included Hilary Swank's character, and she was tired of these hurtful rumors being made up about her, so she just decided to actually play Manorgate out and kill these people to get some sort of vengeance.
It was a marriage to the beast.
They have a huge fight scene. Gilpin kills Swank and rides out on an airplane looking all high and mighty. It's more or less the plot. You guys want to add anything?
There was, I guess to make it more clear, so that it starts off with the text or whatever, and there is really, it's like not clear, they're like, "Oh, I'm having a hard day at work." They're kind of like fucking around with each other. They're like, "Well, at least we have the hunt coming up." And somebody was like, "Yeah, we're going to go out at the manor, haha," or whatever. And then somebody's like, "We're not supposed to talk about that." And like, that's kind of all it is. And so it turns out what happens is all of these people work for a company, I think, like a really prominent company, like
it's a play on like all those texts that got dropped around like WB and all those other movies.
So somebody hacks the email address or like their emails, and like this text thread happens to be included, and of course it gets picked up by like conservative, like some people work for like, or have their own like podcasts and stuff. You come to find out like who these people are, the conservatives. They have their own like conspiracy podcast, and they're like sharing stuff like through email, and they make up this whole Manorgate where they're like the liberal elites. They're rounding up conservatives and they're taking out to this place in Vermont and they're hunting them. And she has a house in Vermont. Like they have this thing where they're like,
right,
what's going on? She's like, a manor? It's like a 3-bedroom house or whatever. Like the idea of the conspiracy around it and like what the actual truth is. So the play is
Pizzagate.
the conspiracy theorists negatively affect these people's lives so much because they like get fired from their jobs that they've like, you know, that they've worked their lives to have and stuff like that. That it affects their lives so negatively that to take revenge and to spite them, they actually make the conspiracy real, but instead of Vermont, they like go to Croatia for some reason. I don't know.
Because one of the guys works there or some shit like that, and probably because it's easier to get away with shit if you're rich. I don't know. It's probably the implication anyway. So
they actually build a manor on Croatia, and they do mention that it's like super cheap or something. That we'll like build it for
and they fake they fake a gas station so they can pretend to be. Yeah, I don't know. It's like a whole thing. They rig everything.
Yeah. And then, so the conspiracy comes to be true. So when they get confronted in the end, she's like, but you're really doing it. And then she's like, but we weren't doing it. But she's like, but you're doing it now, which actually this movie has some points that I felt like could have made it smarter. Could have made it better. Mm-hmm. And that was kind of one of those ones where I feel like they ultimately missed the mark, because one of the things that I thought like where they were going with this, even with that huge, big info dump and dialogue and shit, which was like tedious, but when they have a big battle at the end, it almost seems like they're both gonna kill each other because somebody gets stabbed in the other, and they even say it like, oh, you got me, oh, and you got me too, we're both doomed. And I thought like, oh, what a more like poignant way to say, like, you know, like you just destroyed each other over nothing, like you both lose, like you've battled back and forth. You thought this one thing is true, it wasn't true. And then because what happens is actually Hilary Swank character didn't even get the right person. So this girl who is like in the thing, she was mixed up with a person who had her same name in her same town. So like just the idea of like how far like misunderstandings can go and like ruining people's lives, like would have been better if they both just lost, which is what they were going for at first. They were like, we both died, we're lost, but then one side still comes out on top and is the good guy. And I was like, well, also, like, okay, that takes all the wind out of it, I guess. Because
of Betty Gilpin being the wrong person, she actually had no part in this Manorgate situation whatsoever. So her coming out on top is kind of a scapegoat, I guess, in a way, because like everybody who actually had a hand in it is dead now, but she is kind of the innocent one, you know?
Yeah.
Well, I think that's like what they're trying to do is like saying, well, this is what this toxicity does to people when you look at things and don't look at them critically and just assume and all this stuff. And like, that's like both sides of some bullshit. Like only one side is spreading rumors of fake conspiracy theories. In reality, there are no manors where people are getting hunted. In reality, just like there's no basement in a pizza restaurant where kids are getting molested. In reality, only one side of this equation is actually being like actually harming shit. I don't know. This whole thing to me it reeks of trying to like be centrist and be like, oh, you know, just everybody chill out and be nice to each other, and that's how you come out on top. And even if you get implicated, if you don't involve yourself, you're fine. And that's just not true, because there are people with actual ideas behind the shit they post. It's not just like things they say to get clout. Sometimes people have points of view that like matter. Like people generally should be able to should have those things interrogated in a movie that's specifically geared towards political rabble rousing, or at least a political campaign to get this movie in front of people. That's my biggest beef, is that this movie wants to be, it promotes itself as a political satire. I don't care what the director says about it, because they've since said, no, it's not political. No, you use every buzzword there is. How the fuck can you possibly say that? It is
political, literally. Like the whole idea is like left versus right, and they are murdering each other.
Right.
Like, I don't know how anyone would say at this point, no, it's not political. Like
I can't see that.
It doesn't bother me as much.
It's in the
just
text
like,
of the movie. It's not even implied.
Farce. Like it absolutely.
It's written in the script that it's political. So I don't understand how you can make that point of view. And if you're doing something like that and you're promoting it as this like provocative piece, to me, you damn sure better have some point of view that like backs up your use of that sort of like language that is so heightened, especially in a situation where people are getting like murdered for protesting and shit. I know that wasn't happening when they were making the movie.
Well, yeah.
But plenty of well, I mean, at least not on the same level it is now. But there's a lot of real shit that people are fighting for using the language that they're lampooning in this movie. And that to me fucking, I don't know.
Well,
it's irresponsible to me.
Yeah, and part of it is, in my opinion, is they think that they're smarter than they are, or at least they come off that way, because this, like, if you just took this movie as like a Ready or Not, where, because they do try to make it quirky. It's not, it's like goofy in a lot of parts. And, but then they try to like be slick in their like logic and like, oh, how this, like you said. And it's like, if Hostel thought it was smart, it's like, you kind of have to like choose, like, are you going to be smart or are you going to be like,
yeah, to me, you do.
Fun?
If you're going to engage in using politics that anger people feel behind politics, especially in these days, in order to sell your movie, you damn sure better like be thoughtful about how you approach that. And it doesn't seem like they were that thoughtful about how they approached this. It seems like they were haphazard at best.
Yeah, it really just feels like they were able to take like some buzz, like ideas and words and like kind of construct an idea of that, and then like try to make this big like point about it. But it's like the writers like weren't good enough. Like it doesn't come across.
Well,
like
they wrote Lost.
Well, yeah. So I don't know. I understood what they were trying to do, but in my opinion, they just failed. I just didn't think it was a very good movie. Like it had some decent, okay action, but anytime, like there's just these huge info dumps, especially towards the end, where I just like couldn't help but roll my eyes. Like they do this whole thing where they try to tie it into Animal Farm and her name, and like just the whole time that was playing out, I was like, oh my god, these people think they're smarter.
Your mom's name's
like,
Martha?
Yeah, it was on that level of shit. Like, why she was like, why do you call me Snowball? And she's like, it's a character in Animal Farm.
You wouldn't know.
Yeah, you would know. Oh, I read
really? I wrote my thesis.
You read Animal Farm? It's just like, oh my, it was so sloppy. Sloppy bitches.
It's like, yeah, like breaking people down to like stereotypes based on their political points of view is not satire in and of itself. You're not saying anything. As somebody who specializes in saying a lot or speaking a lot and saying very little, I can tell you honestly, that's what this movie is.
As someone who gets paid dollars to speak,
but that's the thing, is like, I'm not getting paid $20 a viewing for my fucking opinions.
Dollars, I tell you.
Yeah, it seems like they were definitely getting there, but did not arrive. Maybe the script needed a couple more passes, and I think it needed. Yeah. The Animal House tie-in does explain why there's a pig in the crate. They're like really
Animal Farm, not Animal House.
Or sorry. If only it was Animal House. If only there was Jim Belushi.
Not a single toga in this movie. I'm sorry.
Unfortunately. So yeah, you just get this random pig throughout the movie who has like a little shirt on, just kind of cruising around, which, whatever.
Don't they call him Wilbur?
It's goofy.
Which is like Charlotte's Web reference.
Yeah.
No. His name was Orwell after George.
Oh, was it? Okay. I don't know. I was thinking Wilbur. Yeah. Okay, probably from Charlotte's Web.
It's all the nicknames or whatever are 1980. Excuse me. Animal Farm references. I almost said 1980.
Except they call that one guy Don. There's no Don in Animal Farm.
Well, I don't remember specifics. It's been a while since I read it, but that's how they introduce themselves. That's not how they're being called on the radio. There's a bunch of nicknames and shit.
Yeah.
Gary's character kind of cracked me up a little bit. He has the podcast and he quote,
He's
is outing these crisis actors on a train at one point, which I'd never actually heard that term before. Crisis actor.
oh really?
Yeah.
God, you live a charmed life.
That was news to me. He throws a grenade into somebody's pants and yells "Sayonara sugar tits" in his face, which is ridiculous.
That did make me laugh.
So I mean these characters,
But he also was right that at least one of them was a quote unquote crisis actor that wanted to murder them. So inevitably, even if you're conservative in this movie, you're vindicated in some way, always.
Yeah, that is true.
For the most part, yeah, I guess.
Even if you also do a bunch of lip service to fucking NPR and shit afterwards, you still murdered a bunch of people and therefore are the shitheel.
There was one moment, there was a couple of jokes that I thought were like, that made me chuckle. There was one, so this guy, so they're also in Croatia. This is a weird point. So they hop a train and they get caught by the actual authorities, the Croatian authorities. And so she's trying to explain, like, we're being hunted. She meets another guy named Don and like, yeah, we're being hunted. Oh shit. Okay. Well, we're calling the embassy. The embassy is going to come pick you up. And it's just another actor or whatever. So, okay.
Macon Blair shows up.
Yeah. This guy's going to drive them back to the compound or whatever. And they don't really explain, I guess they're bribe. He has a box that says bribe money. Haha. That's not what but he was
bribe money.
Bribe, yeah. But when he's driving them and he's kind of asking them questions and he's like, why do you think they want you guys? Don't you think maybe you did something? Let's think about it or something. And then the guy's like, you think we deserve this? And he was like, I would never blame the victim. That's I
don't know, man. That's the heavy-handed shit to me. It's like, these are the guys that are always the butt of the joke because they're not the ones being fucking hunted.
There were a couple moments like that where I was like, it's like, okay.
The older
also
couple,
the Tears of the Sun or whatever, Tears of the Sun. They hired this guy who worked on a movie to train them,
right?
And it was Tears of the Sun with Bruce Willis, and they're like, "What was the sun crying or whatever?" And that actually got me pretty good.
That was kind of silly and funny. That's the thing is, like,
older couple in the gas station I wanted to mention got me pretty good. But one of them screams, "I'm a godless elite," and for the record, climate change is real. I don't know.
Yeah, that didn't get me. It's just
because of the implication.
Yeah, I guess
the implication that bothers me.
It's a strong implication.
It's like,
yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
I guess those things like didn't have a point. I guess to Randy's like point is like,
the only
how liberal I am, and now you're dead.
It's almost like when you like you're trying to buddy up to like the bullies, and you do so by like bullying the smaller kid that gets bullied. Like that's what it feels like. It feels like you're like, oh yeah, I'll swirly some kid. You know, I'm kind of cool that way, so we can talk, we can rap. And it's like, no, that you have to have a point of view to rap about, dipshit. Like you have to do. You can't like shit on one kid just so you can ingratiate yourself to another and expect people to like you for it.
And to Randy's point about those specific things, like what makes these characters who they are? Like, I feel like they really betrayed the story and idea to the point to where, like, up until we meet Hilary Swank's character, every person who's hunting them, that's how they're summed up. Mm-hmm. It's just by these like little one-liners of like, I believe in climate change, or I listen to NPR, like all of these things. Mm-hmm. And then they have to, in order to like catch you up, like after an hour in this film, like hour 15, like towards almost the ending of this film, they have to do this huge backtrack info dump about, oh, we all just happened to work for the same company and we got outed. And so we actually have kind of a point, but nothing up until that point. Yeah, nothing up until that point. So at no point did I feel like these people were actually connected in some business venture and were actually deeper than their just one-liners that they were dropping about like climate change and stuff until they had to tell me about it towards the end of the movie. And then it didn't really have as much significance. It's like, oh, okay, I guess like there was some actual plot here, some
I think
actual
that's
motive.
That's
but
them being like trying to Thanos the situation where it's like, yeah, these guys are the villains, but here's the reason why. And the reason is because they all lost their jobs unjustly because decided some bullshit was true. But it doesn't it doesn't add anything because the characters are still stereotypes and they still suck and they still murdered people. So no matter what your justification of that is, you're still a piece of shit in the eyes of the public. So it doesn't really like undo anything for them. It just is some sort of lip service to the idea of people doing this because of misunderstandings. And that's literally the only thing that I think they're trying to get at with this movie. And to me, you can get at that a lot easier without all the dross and quagmire that comes with making it overtly political. And that's kind of like the main thing that drags this movie down for me, because it's kind of hard to look past when everything about it, everything that I knew about it leading up to it, had all centered around how political it was. And that was by their own design. So, I mean, this movie is sort of like a weird dichotomy going on tonally, because it is dealing with things that are happening in real life that are pretty touchy, and it's commenting on them in a way that it's taking it super seriously, though. It's like which isn't wrong inherently. Like satire is fine, but the thing is, like, you have to have a point, because satire by definition requires that you be basically presenting an alternative route to the absurd. That makes more sense to people, and there's nothing like that in this movie. This movie is like, at best, this movie is saying like, don't believe everything you hear. And I can think of there are dozens of movies that do that without having to hit, or without deciding to hit buttons that they know are going to elicit reactions from people that range in volatility. Like, they did this marketing job very intentionally, and to then have nothing but a facade once you get into the theater seats is a sham to me. It just sucks.
Also, like, what was with that pig?
Because it's an animal farm.
That's it?
I think so. Yeah,
Animal
because
House,
the whole thing is like Animal House. Yeah,
I know,
it's a toga party.
Okay, here's how I feel this movie, aside from its political leanings, is just lazy. Yeah. Like, okay, there's a pig in there. Oh,
I think that's intentionally lazy.
That's interesting.
As another dig at liberals.
Yeah. Well, what is this pig doing? Okay. So then later the pig gets killed, and like way down the line, the pig survives for a while. He's rolling around with the shirt. Way down the line, the pig gets killed. And one of the chicks who's like killing people freaks out about it. Oh my God, you killed the pig. And I'm like, you motherfuckers, put him in the crate.
You shot somebody earlier with a bow and arrow.
Not that okay, sure. Yeah, you did shoot somebody. But even from the pig logic, like, oh, I like animals more than I like people. Okay, okay. Like,
put him in a dark crate.
Why did you put him in a crate in the middle of a field that you laced with landmines?
And that you also shot at
with a machine gun. Yeah, as soon as he came rolling out. It's like, there's just no, it's so sloppy. Like, what was the point of it?
The thing is, like, anybody who to me, like, I see this movie from the perspective of people who are like, so if somebody's more sympathetic to the right and to the conservative point of view than the liberal point of view in this movie, which there's very much to go off of, they're going to look at that and be like, yeah, that fucking stupid ass liberals, they're doing all this dumb shit, think they're smart, but they're not. They don't know Animal Farm as good as Betty Gilpin, so fuck them. Let's murder them.
It seems like they're like trying to make points sometimes, but it really is just sloppy writing. Like,
you can write it off easily is the problem. You can say a disingenuous person could be like, well, yeah, because liberals are that stupid.
But I'm even trying to draw the lines for them. Like, this is part of me like digging in. Like, okay, maybe this liberal person likes animals more than they like people, and so she's really upset. So you were looking at that as a potential. Well, yeah. So okay, so maybe she has no problem killing people where she feels justified, but then she is like really upset when the pig dies. Okay, well then why did she agree to put the pig in the crate in the middle of the field that's with lamb? It's just inherently the writing's bad. It's just not there. And there's that's not just one like kind of nitpicky thing. Anyone who's connected to this movie on both sides of like the character spectrum, like have these holes where it's like, oh, this is my character, and it's like, well, no, not really, because that doesn't follow any kind of logic of what we're seeing now. You're literally just telling me that's what your character is, but nothing else to me indicates that that's what your character is, other than you telling me that's what my character is. So it's just sloppy. It's just not.
It is. It's like, well, the characters, they don't have a character because their character is like vaudevillian stereotype of on both sides of this, and to the like less so, I would say, on the conservative side, because we're meant to sympathize with them the entire way through the movie. So I mean, but they both get some of that treatment, and that it's really hard to connect with a movie that is taking that approach, making satirical, like silly, absurd, dumbass people the central focus of your movie, while also not having a very strong point of view on why you're doing that.
Yeah. I don't think this movie's very good.
I feel that way too.
Y'all want to talk about like the kills? Like, I guess that's some of the
we could, but like the best thing you can say about the kills to me are the ones at the beginning where you're following one person after the other. First, you follow Emma Roberts, and she dies, and you're like, oh shit, they Drew Barrymore her. And then you follow the guy from This Is Us, like and he gets exploded. And then you follow one of the Wahlberg brothers, and he gets his ass killed. So I mean, like,
there's a girl.
Those are only good because you.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, but she's not the point of view character ever though. Like she's like a burden for the This Is Us guy, and then like to me, it just like it's kind of funny in its own right, but you're not getting to know anybody. You know what I mean? Like that is also, if you do that more than once, you're wasting time on character development for the characters that matter.
Also, God, man, this movie is so sloppy. They try to make it make sense, because then the chick is like breaking down, like her and Dawn get into this discussion, like, okay, like we're gonna figure this out, okay? And they're like, they somehow, I don't remember how they figure out there's 12 of us. And then even in the flashback, they're like, oh, the guy who was training them was like, oh, we only need to do 12 to be safe. Like, this is a good number. Okay, they have 12. Somehow Dawn and whatever name, I can't remember how they figure that out, but they figured it out. But that's not even true, because before the shit even started, some dude woke up on the plane and was killed. So really, there would only be 11, and they would have absolutely no way to know that whatsoever. This is just so sloppy.
I didn't even think about that, but yeah, that's a pretty gnarly hole. And the thing, you can write off all this stuff if you're willing. That's the thing, is like, you see, I saw this, and I didn't read the article, but I saw an article titled something like, this movie is a Rorschach test for whatever you want to believe about it. And that's true to some extent, but it's only true because it fails so hard at having its own point. Like, I don't know. The thing is that to me, it's only detrimental to actual real world causes that are worthy of some scrutiny and some deliberation, without being like dwindled down to bullshit, like meme jokes and shit like that. I don't know. It does a disservice to the real world that it co-opts in order to sell itself.
I truly hate that this movie is getting so much attention, because I feel like it just feeds the idea of, oh, you can just attach some buzzwords and some provocative ideas politically to a shitty movie that people don't care about writing properly, or actually putting like witty jokes in, or like actually to just attach it to a shitty movie, and it'll sell because people will just talk about it and be like, oh my God,
the president will tweet about
and it's
it.
Like, God damn it. Like, this movie, it's not worth this shit. It's not. It's so fucking I just feel below mediocre. It's just so below mediocre that I cannot believe so many people care even enough about it. Like, it's just not. I hate that we're giving it like the kind of attention that, in my opinion, it doesn't deserve. Like, just from a movie standpoint, it's just not great, Bob.
Sometimes Iron Fistings go bad, Rob. No kink shame, but come on, be safe.
We did also cover Winchester, so let's just remember that
a year and a half ago in January.
We covered Confederate Cannibal Confederates.
Oh,
and
yeah,
We've covered worse movies,
I mean, as
but
far
it's
as
not
somebody brought up
political.
Somebody brought up a good comparison is like we covered the Purge Anarchy, like the Purge 3 or whatever in theaters. And this is pretty comparable to where that movie, it was like maybe a flip where like, oh, the old white religious people are kind of in the same way, you know, they're inflicting these laws on people, and it really hurts like the poor folks, and they're sitting up in their high ivory towers. And at the time I reviewed that movie in the same kind of way. Like, this is just a shit movie. It's just not good. Like, it has nothing to do. It's just like, this is just poor sloppy ride. I feel the same way about this movie. It's on par with the Purge 3. It's just like no one should be talking about it as much as they are. It's just not.
I agree with that part, but to the extent that it's like, I haven't seen that Purge entry. I wasn't on that episode, but
not missing anything.
Yeah, from what I hear. But yeah, so like to the extent that this movie I could see being like a perfectly palatable dumb action thriller that you could throw on if it wasn't so relying so heavily on hitting those pressure points that we all have right now, especially exacerbated in order to sell itself. And I just resent being manipulated in that way by somebody who doesn't have anything worthwhile to say about the subjects they're selling us on.
Yeah.
Well,
Bob fucked up on this one.
You guys want to go ahead and rate this? Sounds like we kind of covered everything.
Let's rate it.
Yeah. All right. Out of 5, Juice, why don't you kick us off? How you feel about the
5 stars?
I was saying this before. Like, this is a movie, if I would anticipate it like being a horror movie released in like the January, February realm. Like if we were just in the normal kind of world of no COVID, no the president tweeting about this movie and shit. This is what, if I just saw this like on a whim, this is what I anticipate this movie came from. It feels like a movie that like in the realms of like Belko experiments where it's really trying to go off of like extreme violence, throw like some quirky jokes in there, but ultimately it's just very forgettable. It's going to age terribly. Like this, I don't like it. It's just the things that they're talking about aren't even going to be relevant in just a few years. So there's going to be no reason to come back and like visit this movie. As far as even the action goes, I don't feel like they did anything like that blew my nuts away or anything. Like there's just, it's so pedestrian. It's so pedestrian.
Oh no, you're one of the elite.
Oh no. On purpose.
Sure. It was after you decided it was.
I know. It really is just below mediocre in my opinion. I don't really want to watch it again. And again, nothing like triggered me more than just it was fucking sloppy and weak. More than anything, it's like wasting my fucking time. So ultimately I'm gonna give it like a 1.5 because I mean the actors did show up, you know, and there were like some interesting kills like that. The eyeball scene was pretty cool where she stabs him with a high heel and like pulls his eye out. Like, okay, like that's, you know, I'm down for that. But
and that was our first kill too.
Yeah, and the grenade in the pants was kind of funny when he says like sayonara sugar tail. I think that's pretty good. But other than that, like even the final battle scene just kind of like pooped out, man. It was just like a soft, wet fart. Like it's like, oh, here's gonna be something. No. So yeah, 1.5 from Shaboy Soju.
All right, Randy, how you feel out of 5?
You said 1.5, Juice?
Yeah,
that's exactly what I was gonna give it. We're on the same page all the way through for the most part, except for the fact that I do see some redeeming qualities in just the craft of this movie. Like I could see it being enjoyable if you stripped out all of the promises for political intrigue and all that shit. And I don't know, just didn't lean so heavily upon that and actually alternatively had a point besides, be careful what you read. I just feel like this movie is provocative and insubstantial at best and manipulative at worst. So to me, it just raises my ire and my resentment for those reasons. And I do want to say, I like most of the people that I recognize from this movie. I thought that they did an okay job considering they were playing caricatures of people and not actually anybody with substance whatsoever. Fucking Dennis Reynolds, fucking Glenn Howerton had a stronger character presence in fucking The Strangers, where he had like one line and was shot.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I just feel like this. I just feel kind of like this is exactly what I thought it was, which was a misunderstanding by the right in the early days of the promotion of this movie, about who actually is being vilified in the movie, and then being vindicated by the fact that it is what I assumed, which is that it's the other people that are being vilified, and primarily to no end whatsoever that matters. I just don't think this movie has anything to say, but it's desperately trying to use adult platforms to say it. And I think that's fucked up. So it's a 1.5 for me. And those 1.5 come specifically from the goodwill I have towards the cast and some of the performances and the occasional laugh that I got from little things like, I don't know, the grenade in the pants and shit like that. Otherwise,
we all enjoy good nuts being blown off.
We're children.
We can all
at
agree
heart.
on that.
So, I mean, I don't know. It's just not a good fucking movie. And it's really, really, I also resent the fact that it's gotten as far as it has. And it's become such a cultural signifier to people, even me to some extent, but because it has real world, consequences, this movie. So for them to then double down with their second round of promotions by saying, oh, it's the most talked about movie of the year, it's very controversial, get ready to have your tits blown off. I think that that's just shitty business practice. And I think that it's provocative while having nothing to say, man. That's really the long and short of it. And I don't appreciate being jockeyed like that, or culture being jockeyed like that. So 1.5.
Don't feed the troll, Randy. Bob, justify yourself. Why? Possibly why would you shove this down our throats with your iron fist?
The iron fist.
Aren't you being a little stupid?
This movie isn't a fucking masterpiece, obviously, but I definitely didn't find it quite as egregious as you guys did. I kind of watched this as more or less a popcorn flick. I didn't read a whole lot into the politics in the movie, even though it is sort of playing on all of that, obviously. It's just cheap jokes for the most part. And if you're going to pull any sort of message from this movie, I kind of get from it that it's commenting on the dangers of perceptions and how both sides perceive the other as being terrible, which is incredibly dangerous in and of itself. We're all people. We're all people.
Agreed.
So, if you want to take something from this movie, I kind of think that's what I would take from it. But outside of that, good action. I had a really good time watching Betty Gilpin just play this character. I really think she holds the screen incredibly well. I look forward to seeing her in some other stuff. The writing is loose.
She's great in Glow.
She's great in Glow. The writing is loose. It's not fantastic. Hilary Swank, for the little bit that you get her in this, is pretty cool. I enjoyed the big fight scene at the end. It's not doing anything new per se, but I enjoyed it still. I don't know, the goofy older folks that are at the gas station. I thought there was some jokes planted in there, and I don't know. I just like the blood spatter and looseness of it.
You like it extra loose, don't you, Bob?
It's real loose.
I feel bad.
We'll get into the kinks later on.
I love being incontinent.
I feel bad for suggesting that we watch this, but
I'm sure you do.
The next new release we do, I will totally abdicate myself from having a hand in choosing it. I'll let you guys.
The inmates are running the asylum now.
It's all on y'all.
It's about time.
Hell yeah. All right. First of all, I get all the segments.
Have at it.
No, I do not want.
I do more work.
Time for me to take over.
I'm going to give this a 2.5, kind of right down the middle of the road. I think it's, like I said, just kind of like a popcorn flick. Even though it's got some window dressings and it's sort of presenting itself as maybe being super controversial and having a wild statement, it definitely is not and does not. So there you go. That's going to put our aggregate at a 1.8, which is pretty bad. But let's jump over into our Rotten Tomatoes segment and see what the critics and users think about The Hunt.
Certified fresh to death.
Oh boy, we're about to get in it now. Ooh, shit. Ready to roll. Oh my God. We got the Rotten Tomatoes segment here on the Straight Chilling Podcast. And this week we are looking at The Hunt. The Hunt. The Hunt. And we are going to talk about...
That's appropriate.
It is appropriate.
I'm going to talk... Yeah. For this segment, what we do, for those who are new, is I'm going to allow these gentlemen to guess to their best ability between 0 to 100% what they think the critic score and user score from Rotten Tomatoes of this movie is. That's a terrible way of phrasing that, but that's what we've done. So we're going to start with the critic score, and the total count of reviews is 227. So not a huge sample size, but a good deal. Why don't we start with Bob for this one? Bob, what do you think the critics gave this movie out of 100%? Positive.
Critics. I'm going to go with a 70 on this.
70% positive. Okay. Juice, what about you?
You said 70, Bob?
Yeah.
You didn't go with the comedy number. That's an interesting choice.
That's way too high. So I'll take the low end and I'll take the comedy number with the 69, me, Randy.
God, you guys are taking all the fun. You're not even trying to hit it on the money anymore. So yeah, Juice is going to take this, but
that's right. 69.
Yeah, but he's not super close either. He's about under 15 off. It's 56%. 56%. That is a certified rotten. So here's what the critics' consensus has to say about this. It says, The Hunt is successful enough as a darkly humorous action thriller, but it shoots wide of the mark when it aims for timely social satire. I tend to agree with that.
Yeah.
I don't think that the humorous part really landed for me for the most part, and I think the action for the most part did okay by me. Nothing to stand out, but nothing to shit on too mad either. Just kind of was.
I keep coming back to it. Anytime I was watching this movie, I was just like, man, I really wish I was just watching Ready or Not.
Ready or Not is a vastly superior film with the exact same premise, basically. Just you take out the political bullshit and just make shit bags, and like there's still politics involved. Everything's got politics in it, but it's not so explicitly stated as to be the fucking center point of your ad campaign.
Well, and at least that was more spooky because like the devil and stuff. I was like, okay, horror, this is
a scratch. All that shit. That's a good movie. Anyway, this is not. The audience score. Let's go to that. Juice, what are you thinking about this audience score? 0 to 100%.
Ooh, this one.
There's 943 audience reviews, by the way.
Since we can never find compromise and it's always a left or right, I'll go 50%.
Okay. Bobby, what do you feel?
So, Bobby, you're going to take the top or the bottom?
Yeah, I think it's
Bobby,
over.
want top or bottom?
I'm always
Bob's
on top.
really a top, only because the Iron Fist, really.
I'll go 51.
51. Okay. This is like quickly becoming the least interesting segment. So, Bob, you're going to take it. It is 66% audience score, which is not certified anything besides it's got a popcorn container next to it. So whatever that icon means, that's what it's getting.
Dope.
So yeah, let's go down and read one of the negative reviews because they're always funnier. I'm just going to pick one at random here. Let's see. Well, this one sounds like Justin speaking. No one could possibly be offended by The Hunt because that would require it to contain at least one comprehensible idea.
Soju69 at hotmail.com right there.
Yes.
That's what he said.
That's the one. That was the next line of this review.
69.
So that's our Rotten Tomatoes segment. Everybody loses.
Sweet.
We're all losers here.
Sweet deal. Let's jump over into our trivia segment.
It's totally time for trivia.
All right. Randy, don't worry about your segment going down to the dumps because we still have trivia here. So,
good.
The Hunt, there are 12 items. I will try to pick the most interesting of them. The movie was yanked from its original release date due to mass shootings, then rescheduled for March 13th, 13th, 2020. 13th. To then be affected drastically at the box office by the global COVID-19 pandemic. And they do go on to say that due to closure of movie theaters during the COVID pandemic, Universal announced that the movie will be available to rent from Friday, March 20th, 2020, with a 48-hour viewing window for $19.99 rental. Oh my God. This was merely 1 week after hitting theater screens after having been pulled from its previous release. I feel like that's some karma cola right there. I that puts a bit of a smile on my face. Because I'm like, fuck you guys for trying to spin this a certain way and promote it. You knew you had a shitty film. The thing is, like,
if there had never been a tweet about it, I really don't think this movie would be talked about right now.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I mean, they use that advertising to try to, like, please give this some attention because it's dog shit. So that's where we're at. Karma Cola right there. Drink it down. The film was partially inspired by The Most Dangerous Game, the famous 1924 short story.
Oh, wow.
But with a satirical twist. Other films with other
this sounds like the pitch that you would give your, like, I don't know, lit 101 class.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to do like The Dangerous Game, but with a political spin. You know what I'm saying? All right, we're going to do that. Make it real Bioshock. You know what I mean?
All right. Other films with similar premises that probably did this much, much better in every kind of way. The Most Dangerous Game, 1932. Turkey Shoot, 1982. Hard Target, 1993. That sounds like a white woman's dream.
Ew. Fucking
Surviving the Game in 1994. The Pest, 1997. And The Eliminator, 2004. Hard Target.
Hard Target.
They cover that one.
That's a well-regarded film, if I'm not mistaken.
I've never heard
totally.
of it,
It's Van Damme, bro. Yeah, that's the good shit.
It was believed the film was originally going to be called Red State versus Blue State, but this was later denied by Universal, who stated it was never a working title anytime during production. That's how great our trivia section is.
It's trivia that's not real.
Oh my God. Nope. I want to stop. I don't, this, even this trivia isn't worth my time. So let's move on.
Sweet. That sounds great.
Well, let's
do what we do best.
To go hunting.
Cooter of the week. We are hunting on the hunt today. We are hunting cooters. What is a cooter, you may ask? Straight chillin' exclusive. Cooter is a character type. You must hit 3 of these 5 points
to be 5?
Considered a cooter. You got smug, arrogant.
Oh shit!
Manipulation.
Oh my God!
Sexual deviancy.
What?
Overall look and attire, and overall patheticness. Who's going to be our top cooter of the week? Who you guys got?
I might make a suggestion outside the scope of the film, which would be the writers and or directors or people making this movie, because I can sense at least 2 points that they hit real hard. Do we want to go down that road, or you want to start with characters?
Let's start with characters, but I'm willing to entertain that idea.
Okay,
for sure.
We'll get to it.
We've done it before. We've done it in the past. Directors we've given. Yeah.
What do y'all think about Hilary Swank in this movie?
All right, Swank. Let's.
So manipulation is a clear yes. Like just within the text of the film, she is clearly manipulating people.
She's smug as hell.
She is smug as hell with her grilled cheese speech.
Sex deviancy. I mean, Gruyere is definitively a better cheese for fucking grilled cheese, but whatever.
It's hot. It's hot.
What does that have to do with sexual deviancy? What?
No. I jumped backwards.
Me going.
Okay.
I jumped the gun on sex deviancy. I don't think she has much sex deviancy.
Nope.
There's no sex from her at all.
Pathetic.
I would say that.
Kind of.
I would say that that's kind of, I would give it maybe a 50% like
Where
on
did she
that.
seem pathetic to you?
She's like,
I think it's pathetic that she cared so much about shit.
That
She cared so much about shit people said on the internet that and getting fired or whatever. Well, granted, she should care about getting fired, but then she abandoned all presumed scruples in order to actually hunt people as an act of vengeance. So I think that's pretty pathetic.
Also, I guess it's pretty pathetic that she picked the wrong person. That's pretty. That's pretty.
You could probably put that on Macon Blair, though. He was the one bringing their pictures to the table. So
that's true.
She also like totally misunderstood the point of the classic novel Animal House.
Animal House, man.
She got it wrong.
Man,
the point is to disrespect the
Animal
dean.
House in Lit
Obviously.
101.
Me too.
She's a zit. Get it?
Overall, wait, attire? She doesn't have any weird attire, does she? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
No, she's got bourgeois attire, or not bourgeois. Excuse me. She's got like high end attire.
Jejun stains
So
everywhere.
She's
got at least 2, maybe 3 if we're willing to give her patheticness.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like a pretty close call on her.
Yeah. So
Okay.
Cooter light.
Maybe like Cooter.
The smugness and this manipulation are clearly through the charts because that is literally the entirety of her character.
God, I feel like Dennis could have been a good Cooter for us. This guy cannot be properly utilized in horror films, apparently. And that was a flaw I didn't even bring up. They like introduced us to like Dennis. Oh yeah, okay. And he's going to be like a villain, which he plays like a super creepy, like guy you love to hate, like on Sunny in Philadelphia, and he's just nothing in this movie. Like he starts off and then you see him like way down the line and he gets killed.
Yeah. It's the implication though.
Because of the implication.
You just assume he's a Cooter. But I guess we don't. He like does the speech about caviar. He's got smug arrogance for sure.
Yeah, he does. God, he
does. He doesn't like try to hit on her or anything. I thought he might have a little sexual deviancy, but he didn't.
There was a character in the plane at the beginning who was like wearing a beanie and like a scarf, and like after the murder, he turns to the clearly shell-shocked stewardess and is like, "Could you give me a seltzer water or something?" And I don't think we saw that guy ever again. Do you guys remember seeing him even in the bunker or anything?
No.
I was just thinking about that. Yeah, that was kind of funny on
Yeah, on both sides, they're like there's no kind of like cool.
There's nobody defined enough to be a Cooter even.
Gary, the character of Gary, like might be another Cooter light. He's definitely got the smug arrogance because he's like going on about his podcast now. He's like busting these people and stuff.
Well, he said he said, "Oh, I sent that out to 50 friends." Not that I believed it or anything.
That?
Yeah, it's like okay. So he's manipulative. He's smug. Again, like that's like kind of the sum characteristic of pretty much everybody in this movie.
Yeah,
maybe pathetic. Yeah, everybody's Cooter light.
He might hit a stronger pathetic than Hilary Swank, so he might rank above her. In that regard. But I still want to say that the writing and directorial staff is probably going to hit. What's crazy is this whole movie we just established that just about every character is defined by their smugness and their aptitude for manipulation, and those are exactly the 2 points I would absolutely give to the writing and directorial staff of this thing. They manipulated us with their advertising into thinking that this movie had a point. And they were very smug about what that point was supposed to be by fucking pretending they had one. So like,
yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like patheticness. I mean, I don't know where you would go for that.
Oh my God.
Look, I don't care what they look like. It doesn't, I don't know what they look like. Sex deviancy, who knows? I haven't heard anything specifically about them. Maybe one of them will get Me Too'd and we'll have a certified Cooter on our hands. But
hopefully that's not the case.
I hope not. But I would say that this whole thing is pretty manipulative and smug, and it's just ironic that every other character that they wrote specifically has those traits.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like we got a few Cooter lights then.
Yeah, Cooter lights all around. I cannot wait to talk about kinks. Can we let's move it along here.
Let's move it along. Well, first we gotta let our hair down. Talk about what we've been watching this week.
Hey gang, what you been watching?
Randy, what you been watching?
Oh, let's see. So I did finish up BioShock. I'm on BioShock 2 now. I'm about a third of the way through. And 2 is pretty damn samey, I gotta say.
Oh yeah, it is. It really
I knew it was like the same setting, but I didn't know it would be like exactly the same, up down to some of the graphics being direct lifts.
Yeah.
And that's not the biggest deal in the world to me because I'm playing them back to back. So I just, in my mind, they might as well be the same game.
Just kind of more, yeah.
Yeah, I like the story so far. And the second one, I like the story a little bit less. It's just, again, it's samey. That other one tied up real nice.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
It's cool playing at Big Daddy. You got the big drill, bash people around.
I was also informed of I was recommended a YouTube channel called, well, I don't know exactly what it's called, but the guy it's MRE Steve. If you look for that on YouTube, you'll find him. So MRE Steve.
Mr. E Steve?
No, that's what I thought too. I thought it was like a dumb play on words.
Ready to eat?
But Meals Ready to Eat. Yeah, you're familiar with this guy?
No, I just know what that means.
Oh, okay. No, you're right. So basically what this guy does is he buys or somehow acquires MREs from various world militaries, I guess, not just the US, but like I saw one from Japan or Taiwan and things like that. And they're packaged still or whatever. They're from like the 50s and 40s and shit. And he opens them shits up and he eats them. And it's fucking interesting. Those things actually hold up a lot better than you think, but it's still pretty fucking gross. And also, I think there's some things he won't eat. I haven't gotten to one yet, but most of the stuff is like like highly packaged, shrink wrapped beef jerky, and then like crackers and candies. I'm like, so things that are meant to be able to withstand a lot. So for the most part, it's not so bad, but that beef jerky to me is a little much even. But it's really fascinating. And what I really, really like about it is the guy himself, because the way he talks, like he seems like a nice guy. I'm not trying to shit on him or anything, but he speaks kind of like a South Park character. He has this really weird cadence where like, he's like, all right, well, this looks really good. So let's open this up. And then he'll open it up and he'll be out on his train like, nice. Okay. So let's look at this thing right here. You gotta watch this fucking guy. It's
sold. I am so
dude, you gotta watch it. It's like something to fall asleep to. It's really
I do.
Dude, yeah.
I really do.
Like I'm with you on this, like report of the what is that? A review of the week is one of your favorites, and I love it too. This is kind of like that, except just sillier, just so much sillier, and also has a gross factor to it. So it has a lot going for it. I recommend it highly. And then the last thing I watched, I haven't watched a whole lot, but I did. I've been wanting to see Hamilton for a while and heard all the hype and all the jokes about the hype and everything you can possibly hear about it without actually hearing any of the music, because I really wanted to actually like see the stage play. And fortunately, it was released for Independence Day through Disney Plus, so I watched that along with a billion other people, and it's great. It's great. I think that it's like got the inherent silliness that I feel in most musicals.
Yeah.
But I can usually look past that if the music's good enough, if it's like told well enough. And I think it's a pretty well told story. I learned some shit. I'm not, a big history buff or anything. So I learned a few things. And for the most part, I think that the songs are like, it's no wonder this fucking thing is so huge and was so huge so immediately, because the songs are so fucking catchy. So it's a recommend from me. I can't believe that anybody will have waited for my opinion on it to watch it, but if you have, I recommend it.
They made you learn, Randy.
I tried to stop them.
Been able to avoid any kind of Hamilton influence in my life. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's what I've been watching for them. That's it for me.
Sweet. Juice, what you been watching?
First off, the positives, some nice things. Apparently my theater got the memo that it is Halloween season, and I appreciate it because they are on this kick for several weeks in July. I gotta check the schedule this week of showing these old school horror movies in the theater. So I have been lucky enough. I went to go see The Thing first in the theater, 1982, The Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing. And that was awesome. And then I got to go see Jaws right before the 4th on Friday. So that was also very kick-ass. Some movies they will be showing that I anticipate going to see. The Beach. They're going to be showing The Beach at some point. Misery was on there. The 80s Carrie or 70s, whatever. The old school Carrie. Just a lot of like classics and a Scream. They're going to be showing Scream. I Know What You Did Last Summer for some reason.
Oh, wow. That's a classic.
Yeah, a classic. So I don't know. Either way, over the next couple weeks, I'm pretty damn excited to be going back to the movies to see some classic horrors in the theater. So starting off, the Halloween season, right? Pumpkins, baby.
Oh,
bring 'em.
yeah.
That's music to your ears, no?
Yeah.
Pumpkins.
The other thing I watched, I thought about doing a mini cast, but I don't think I will because I've done some true true crime stuff, for the miniseries. I don't think this one quite falls in the realm. But I watched a Netflix docuseries. I gotta be careful with these sometimes too, so they usually put me in a bad mood. But it's called Athlete A, and it was about gymnastics, United States gymnastics for like the Olympian teams or whatever. And since 'tis the podcast, or this particular episode, it's essentially about, and it just happened. Like, even I remember watching some of these girls in the Olympics in like 2016 when they went to like Brazil and shit like that. It's about how shitty that organization is essentially run. And the main scandal is like up to a total of 500 girls, minors mostly, were sexually molested by the doctors who ran that, which is absolutely terrible. But then on top of that, just to see how it's run in general. And so I'm going to go off a little bit on this is like, the premise is it kind of shows the history of how even gymnastics in the Olympics kind of developed, and how originally it was like adult women. Hey, here's some adult women doing gymnastics, and how it's been like turned into like they get like 13-year-old girls in there. Like even the girls who are like competing for the US are like 15 and 16, and the amount of money that like comes from that, they go into like United States gymnastics and like just around the whole thing is kind of fucked up, because these girls are brought in when they're like even before they're 10 years old, because they have to train for years and years and years. And they legit brought in these two motherfuckers from like, where was it? Like Lithuania or some shit, where literally their policy was like child abuse. Like no matter what, tell them they're not good enough and push them and like smack them around and stuff and push them until like the breaking point, so they keep improving, just for the fact that like we could start winning some damn medals. So they brought those motherfuckers in who are running like this.
Making me think of audition.
Of course, they have this fucking ranch out in the middle of nowhere where they bring these kids in. And they won't let the parents come. Ooh, that's always a good sign. A ranch out in the middle of nowhere where parents can't come. MJ. So either like you have these parents who are just like being very irresponsible with like the glisten of like gold medals in their eyes and going to the Olympics and pushing their fucking like 10-year-old kids to do shit they shouldn't be doing. You got these like shitty ass coaches who are from like Eastern Europe. They're just like smacking kids around. And then you have the shitty thing about it was the doctor who was like molesting all these kids was like, they were like, he was the nicest one to me. And that's essentially how he like earned their trust. It's like, oh, these coaches are all shitty and don't give a shit about these kids. And it's like to the point now. And like this is like 2016, 17, 18, like some of these girls, like she's just now at like, they interviewed her in college. She's competing for her college now. And they like reported it to the FBI. The parents tried to call like the police, and like they were like, no, you can't call the police because it'll mess up the investigation. Like you'll never get justice. And then they just never hear anything for like months and months and years and shit. They report it to the FBI, and it's just like, goddamn, is there any goddamn organization in the United States that's just not absolutely corrupt to the goddamn core? Like, is there? Like, fuck. It just fucking pisses me off to know in 500 girls were sexually molested by this guy. Like, fuck. The chicks who are out there at 15 years old winning gold medals for the USA, go USA, aren't even goddamn protected by our own like police or FBI or anybody, their own goddamn parents. Like, fuck everyone all the time. That's what I've been watching.
Wow.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Well, that's fucking repulsive.
Yeah.
Yes. Welcome to the social hour.
Yeah. It's an appropriately sanctimonious rant considering the topic.
On this this episode.
We're just purging all these demons today.
Bob, what have you been watching?
Some lighter stuff. I watched Jaws because 4th of July, and that's what you got to do.
Hell yeah.
I dusted off the old 4K edition, and it looks fantastic.
Well, la-dee-da.
That movie just doesn't get old, man. It's damn near perfect.
It's so good.
It's fantastic.
It really is. Oh my God.
I tried going to the drive-in this past Thursday to watch Evil Dead. There was an audio issue, so they had to cancel the show, which was kind of a bummer. But I went again last night on the 4th of July. They were showing Return of the Living Dead, and it worked. Everything was totally fine. And I mean, the movie's fucking fantastic. That was my first actual full-on drive-in experience. The first time I ever went to drive-in. And there was like fireworks going on behind the screen and shit too, man. It was just like added to the ambience. That's really cool. I enjoyed the hell out of it. Sunray Cinema hosted it. It was like a pop-up drive-in. They showed it on there's like a big empty lot behind a club in town, and they fit like 60 some odd cars in there, and it was just really fucking cool. I had a blast. Outside of that, I also watched Unsolved Mysteries. I guess Netflix brought that show back. There's a new season with like 6 episodes. I watched all of those this week. Most of them... Be prepared to be bedazzled. Unfortunately, there's no Bigfoot stories. I fucking wish there was.
Aww.
Like nothing I'd ever smelled before in my life.
We'll get to that.
Yeah. Out of the 6 episodes, 5 of them are just about people who were killed, and they're trying to figure out who killed these people. Some of them are a little more interesting than others. Some of them are a little more, grisly than others. They're all pretty interesting. My favorite episode, though, there was one, I think it was episode number 4, is all about UFOs. It's definitely my favorite episode. I highly recommend watching that one at least.
Is Tom DeLonge in there?
Who's hosting?
No, he's not. I wish Tom DeLonge was hosting this fucking thing. No, there is no host anymore. They just kind of have the people that are in the story narrating the story themselves instead of.
Okay.
Are they still using voice modulators and shadowy seating arrangements?
No, not at all. Actually, everybody's just not afraid anymore. They're putting their face on blast, like they don't give a shit.
Destroyer of life!
But yeah, overall, I enjoyed pretty much every episode, especially the alien one. Watch that shit. It reminded me a little bit of The Vast of Night, but I guess real. Like all these people in like multiple towns saw all this crazy shit, and like they all can like validate each other's stories, and it's super interesting, man. And aliens exist. That's all I'm trying to say.
They get all their talking points at Bohemian Grove, Rob. You know that. Come on. Come on.
You're right.
Come on.
That's pretty much all I've been watching, though. That's all I got to talk about. So let's go ahead and finally get to the point of this show. We're talking about kinks. We've got one more segment. It's our Hotline Scream segment. If you're listening and want to call and leave us a voicemail to be played on next week's show, you can hit us up at 904-638-3231. The prompt that we posed last week was just asking people what they're into, what turns them on and why. And we got a couple responses. We actually got one voicemail and we got one email that we're going to read a little bit later on too, just to keep it completely anonymous, because some of this stuff is super personal, obviously. But old Jim G Baby, he didn't give a shit. He was not trying to stay anonymous whatsoever. he wants to let you know. So yeah,
no shame, no kink shame,
no shame at all.
Well, that's the thing. I wanted to put it to the test. Bob and Randy always say no kink shaming. I'm open to the idea if I'm presented with the kink that I think might be inappropriate. But
Justin,
we had to put him to the test. We had to put him to the. I'm just open to it, guys. I'm loose. I'm a cool guy.
You are loose. You are very, very open and loose.
Cool people always say that they are cool.
The idea.
I think equivocating is your kink.
Yeah.
Have you spoken?
Maybe we'll get into that.
Oh,
But-
open-minded Juice is open-minded enough to shame people. That's ridiculous.
I'm open-minded enough to think some people shouldn't be.
Right.
All right. Let's see what G-Baby's kinks are.
Let's do it.
Yo, what's up, gang? G baby, calling in on this provocative Hotline Scream prompt about kinks. I'll get right down to it. First of all, it's not really a kink, but I'm definitely an unabashed ass man for sure. Prefer that form over the chest, which nothing wrong with a nice set. Nice chest on a woman, but definitely booty for sure for me. Also, too, something about a woman with like a matching set of nails, like painted nails, with her toenails. Just like, that's always been one for me. Not that I'm like one of those foot fetish people. I mean, let's be real. It's 2020. If you haven't accidentally sucked or licked a toe, I mean, are you even really trying? So, yeah, that's kind of what gets my motor revving. I have a buddy, too, not to put him on blast, but his thing that gets him going that's super funny is he's into, like, women's backs. Like, if they have a nice back, he's like Alexander Paul from Baywatch. If you ask him, he'll be like, great back. So that's a funny one. I've never understood, but another one too. Let's see, how about anti-kink? There's a buddy of mine that's freaked out by if a woman has like funky knees, specifically if their knees look like baby faces when they walk out their knees. You should look it up. It's a thing online that dudes are afraid of. So, anyway, there's me putting it all out there. No shame in my game. So, curious to hear if anybody else calls in. Later, gang. Keep chilling.
Right on, G baby. Thanks for calling in and sharing your kinks and your friends' kinks and
Thanks,
some
Liz.
anti-kinks.
I want to know how you would accidentally suck a toe. Because
One day, sometimes you just wake up and it's like, oh shit, sorry, baby, got your toe.
Yeah, I thought that was
Got
pretty
it.
funny.
Got your toe.
Yeah, I don't know about I haven't done that, and no, I am not trying. That's my personal kink is not sucking toes.
Yeah, I'm not a big foot guy
And
either.
the backs
That's not
thing
my
made me
thing.
immediately
Me either.
think of Marv Albert. Do you guys remember the Marv Albert thing?
No.
He was a sports announcer who got in trouble for biting women on their backs.
Weird.
A prostitute specifically.
Yeah, damn.
Yes, it was like the first time I'd ever heard of anybody fetishizing a back. I'm like, well, okay, I guess that's a thing that other guys like. I don't know, especially sports announcers. Yeah. Anyway, I liked hearing about your friends' kinks unbeknownst to them. I'm excited for them to hear this podcast.
I get it doesn't like freak me out, but knees are weird. And I guess now too, because it's summer. So, a lot more shorts and like summer dresses and stuff are out, but knees can like unattract me. I can be like, oh, they can like catch my attention as being like an unattractive aspect. Yeah.
You're swiping left on knees, huh? Or is it what? Right. I don't know what the good one is.
What's the good one? I
Baby face
don't know
knees.
either.
Specifically.
Face knees.
Yeah, they don't like freak me out or scare me, but I have noticed sometimes like, oh, I don't like that. I don't like those knees. Get those knees away from me.
Get them knees, Eddie.
But yeah, what else they bring? Anything else?
The toenails and the fingernails.
Yeah.
That's a thing, man.
I can get that. Yeah, I mean,
Makes sense.
it's not my specific thing, but I mean, I get it.
Yeah, it's that seems like something that goes back to childhood, and I won't speculate on what that could be. But.
Randy Gandy G Freud over here.
Sometimes a pipe is a dick.
You just gotta suck on it.
Oh,
See?
oh God. Yeah, thanks again, G Baby, for calling and weighing in on that situation.
Bob, you've got like an email you got.
Yeah, didn't we get somebody? Got somebody in a shadowy room with voice modulator or something?
Yeah, we got an email.
So this was a woman emailed us to be anonymous.
Yeah.
Our whole Slack channel was like, I can't do this. It's like too personal. I was like, you guys, we don't have like ID on our phone.
Right.
You can just call in and say anything.
Just don't
you can
leave
be
your name.
anyone.
You don't know who I am, but I know where you live, and that's my kink.
I threatened to call and do like a voice modulator, but I forgot about it. Oh well,
it's
next
never too
time,
late.
then.
Yeah, next week.
My kink is Tom Cruise.
My kink is Tom Cruise stains.
Oh, okay.
Hey. So yeah, I'll read through this email here. It's from a woman, and that's going to become apparent as I read. But other than that, we're going to keep it anonymous. So it starts off saying, I'm writing this in an email because I'm too much of a bitch to call in. I have a daddy kink, which I know is kind of a meme now to have a daddy kink. Or ironically say daddy, but it's definitely a real thing. I think there's a lot of judgment and stigma around it because it being called a, quote, daddy kink, there's the implication of incest in there. But coming from someone who's into it has nothing to do with my actual dad or calling anyone dad or daddy. It's more the idea of being into someone who's older that can take on a protective role. Me being someone who's literally tiny. I'm 4'11", weigh 90 pounds. That is incredibly tiny, by the way.
I know who that is. Let me tell you.
I've seen her at the gas station, right by the measurement by the door.
He's got good knees.
Good knees, great knees.
Great knees.
Adult face knees. She goes on to say, the idea of someone that
looks like Alfred Hitchcock.
The idea of someone that can scoop me up, carry me around, and take on a, quote, daddy role is appealing. I also feel that a lot of people with this kink are the opposite of submissive in their normal everyday lives. I know it's true for me, being a tattooer who works in a shop with all dudes, having a position of authority and having to be tough at work with clients or unruly customers. It manifests in the bedroom in other aspects of my life as wanting to be submissive and completely taken care of. A good example of a daddy character would be Joel from The Last of Us. Many times with this kink, it's not even necessarily sexual, but it's more so endearing, at least to me. Joel is never sexual with Ellie. Obviously, she's underage, kind of his daughter and a lesbian. But seeing him care for her or do sweet things for her, or even seeing them embrace is endearing and shows that she's well taken care of. I didn't mean to write a whole dissertation on this, but I do feel like this kink or other similar DDLG kinks, which, full disclosure, I don't know what that is, get a lot of flack for being disgusting, when in reality, they don't come from a place of wanting to fuck my dad, but from a place of wanting someone who I know can take care of me. I will say that growing up without my dad around does contribute to this feeling of wanting a male authority figure, but that's not the case for everybody. Doesn't hurt if they are a grizzled older man with a beard either. Hope this works for the show. So yeah, thanks so much for calling in, anonymous, or writing in.
Clean your room.
Let's see. I just DDLG is daddy Dom,
daughter, little girl.
Daddy daughter. And mine says daddy Dom.
Oh, I always thought it was daddy daughter. I'm going off memory, so trust what you looked
up. Memory. I'm just, you know.
I wrote the letter.
It's me.
It was me.
I pretend I'm a 4 foot.
I never knew you were
little girl.
I catfished myself into being my own Diddy.
Damn, that's a kink right there.
I will take care of me.
Myself.
I work very hard, and when I come home, I just want me to tell me what to do. No,
spoken like a true dastardly Diddy.
I've run into this. I've excursioned on the internet, and I've seen some DDLG type shit, and you know, it does seem like it's not like exclusively sexual, even. Like it's just really kind of
no, it absolutely makes sense, and it's got to be super easy for her as small as she is. It's like, damn, even if you had somebody who was just like sort of like normal size, and then you
can have normal size Diddy, you can have extra tall Diddy.
Yeah, you got all kind of options with your Diddy because that's
multiple
tiny,
ditties.
Little bitty.
Yeah, that's small as hell.
Let's not denigrate her height, but yeah.
Focusing on the wrong part here.
We're only height shaming around here these days.
That's right. So yeah,
no, that's cool. Thanks for trusting us with that shit, guys. Especially Jim, who used his name. Good.
So far, no kink shaming. We're good. I'm good with all that. No shame here.
Great.
And
glad we put that to the test.
Great. I don't know. When we were talking about like sucking people's blood, I'm not okay with that.
If they're down with it,
it's consensual.
That's the only assumption that to me is what wipes away pretty much anything that I find weird or.
I guess it's at like what point? Because like, could you put some? I
as long as you're hurting nobody
when you could like accidentally kill someone, like the people who do like they
should practice basic safety.
Please be safe with your kinks, please.
Nobody needs to die to get off.
I don't want to shame you. I just want you to be careful. I want all the straight chilling crew out there to come comfortably, okay, like and safely.
Come comfortably. If you guys are listening, you want to call, leave a voicemail, you can hit us up at 904-638-3231. And if you have listened to these bold folks call in and write in and tell us about what they're into, and you feel like maybe you can handle it, hit us up. Let us know. We'll play your shit next week, or we'll read your email next week and keep it anonymous. It's interesting.
I am 10,000% sure that somebody that listens to us, even in our small pool of listeners, somebody licks ass.
I licked her asshole a little bit.
Somebody does.
Randy,
and I want to hear what's appealing about that to you, because to me it's pretty repulsive, but to you it's great, and I want to know why.
We all like a big salad.
I thought you dug a big salad.
Oh, it's all lip service, and I mean that in the most literal sense.
Oh, Randy, you're so conservative.
I only let grannies toss my salad specifically, though.
Whoa,
that's a rule. House
you're
rules.
Just very giving. I make dinner for Granny, not the other way around.
That's right. Eat up, Granny. Eat up.
I don't know how the granny part got in here, but it's here, and it's here to stay.
I'm going to shame Rob's Kings. It's unacceptable.
I forgot about fucking Eraserhead.
The Eraserhead scene. Granny tossing the salad.
Oh, shit.
What you doing out here with all this ass? Double cheeked up on a Thursday afternoon.
Great. Oh man, that's gonna do it for us this week here at Straight Chilling. Do you guys have a new prompt you want to pose for this week?
I do. I had one that I was thinking of the other day. I had somebody from my past turn out to be a horrible sexual deviant in real life, and unmitigated cooter by our very own definitions. I won't go into why, because it's extremely content warning-y shit, and it's very upsetting to me. But I did want to know, and it doesn't have to be something so serious as that, but does anybody know any level of cooter in their actual life? I want to know if anybody knows somebody in their life that they can describe that hits 3 or more of our 5 pillars. And those pillars are juice. Can you run them off for me? I always miss
I
one.
can. Manipulation, sexual deviancy, smug arrogance, overall look and attire, and overall patheticness. I got that shit down. I said,
yeah, you do.
Finally.
In my case, I think I might be maybe the worst person I've ever personally known in my life, and hits
you
every
are the worst cooter I know, Randy. You are absolutely.
That's absolutely what I said. Yes. No, but this person that I was talking about is maybe the worst person I've ever heard of, and or that I've ever met in my personal life, and it just kind of seems like a cathartic experience talking shit about these people for being unmitigated pieces of shit. So please call in, tell us about your piece of shit cooter in your life.
Yeah. And then tell us about your kinks. It's gonna next week's hotline.
It's gonna be a weird brew.
Loaded. Yeah. That's a loaded baked potato right there.
We could call it Hotline Kinks.
We could.
We're just making it all kinks all the time now.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just all kinks all the time. I'm that. My kink is I like to hear about people's kinks. I'm not.
Whoa.
Gonna lie.
Yeah, I think I share that with you.
I think I see you doing something over there.
I be stroking.
Dude, I'm always stroking, baby.
Always.
Every cast for the whole 2 hours.
You the whole time you're recording this, you're also on Chatterbait, aren't you?
Yeah, the whole time.
Chatterbait.
Always. I'm not sure how that is. That's not my kink.
Oh, please. Please. We're going to sit here and all pretend like we haven't seen advertisements.
Randy's over here can't understand why people would lick ass, but he knows all about these crazy websites.
I'm a well-traveled
nobody
man.
else would.
I've never heard of Chatterbait, but that is fucking
Me neither.
hilarious.
See,
I'm
Randy,
genuinely shocked because I've
me.
never been on an adult site that wasn't advertising that.
That's fantastic.
That's-
It requires no explanation. You know exactly what's happening there.
No, yeah, we know.
I'm sorry for making you guys pretend like you don't know what that is. That's a real shame for you.
Don't shame me. But yeah, I would please my kink. I want to know about your kinks more.
Absolutely. Call in 904-638-3231. We're gonna be back next week with a brand new show. We're gonna be getting into our brand new batch of Patreon picks starting
Next week. We're reviewing C-SPAN.
No way. We're going to be talking about a movie called The Prophecy from 1995. It's got Christopher Walken in it. Yeah, this one was chosen by Jose, who was damn hard with us. Thanks for the support and choosing another movie for us, Jose. It's going to be a new one for me. I'm excited about it. Love some walking.
Yeah.
Nice. I'm excited.
Yeah, so slam your eyeballs into The Prophecy. Get ready for next week's show. Until then, please rate, review, and subscribe to us on iTunes. You can follow us on Twitter at str8_chilling, on Instagram at Straight Chilling Podcast. You can send us an email through our website, straightchillingpodcast.com. If you want to join in on the Slack channel daily conversations, talking about the movie of the week, talking about TV shows, music, pop culture, talking about soaps, talking about music, talking about all kinds of stuff, hit us up on any one of those social media outlets, and I'll send you a link to join in on the Slack channel conversations. Until next week, as always, all you mother truckers, please keep chilling.